Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. It's Brandon with Campbell Fitness, and today is going to be more of a vlog style video. It's something that I tried to film on the GoPro on the way home from work today, but the battery died halfway through, and rather than just wait till tomorrow, I decided to, hey, sit down at my computer desk and film it real quick for you guys, give you a little bit better quality, because the audio on the GoPro is not the best as is. So what I want to talk about today is a comment that not only I've been getting a lot recently, but I've been getting ever since I started my channel. So I figured I'd go ahead and address it, not only to save me time from answering it, but hopefully save you time from asking it, or just give you my opinion on the subject. And that is, when are you going to do a posing or flexing video? So first of all, I'd like to say that I'd like to think that the reason why a lot of you guys ask me this is because you want to really see how credible my information is. Meaning, do I practice what I preach? So unfortunately, a lot of times when we look for fitness information on YouTube or anywhere else, even from someone in the gym, we look to make sure that the person actually looks like they lift. Which I said in my last vlog as well, I made that comment, and I think that's going to be probably a very consistent theme here, asking, does he even lift? Not sure if serious. So I say unfortunately because a lot of times what I've learned in my time since not only giving information but also receiving it and putting that to use is just because somebody has a great physique does not necessarily mean their information is better than someone who does not. So for this, there are plenty of people out there with what I would say is less than stellar physiques. Maybe they don't have a ton of training time under their belt, but they have really good solid information. They have a good understanding of nutrition, training, all that good stuff. However, they might just not have the physique to kind of show for that. Now, this could be because of a couple of reasons. Maybe it's just not really in their interest to get big and huge, or maybe they just haven't been training long enough for them to actually reap these benefits. It doesn't necessarily discount their information. On the same flip side of that, I've seen people that are huge, monsters of men, so to say, tons of muscle, really strong, give out some really bad advice, and unfortunately I've been on the receiving end of that advice numerous times when I was younger growing up. I thought just because these guys were big and huge, they must know what they were talking about, so I'd try to do what they told me, and now I can look back and say I wasted a lot of years and a lot of money on their advice without seeing much gains. So when you take information from somebody, I think it's really important to actually look at the information itself and do some of your own research and really come to your own conclusions based off of, does this work for me or not? I think this will really help you in the long run, and I know you're probably a lot like me where we want a quick fix or we don't want to spend a lot of time doing all this research, but it's really going to help you in the long run if you can understand and interpret some of these data and research studies and really apply that to your own training. Now, getting back on point, so I'd like to think that's why you guys ask me, just like you wouldn't necessarily take, let's say, financial information from a homeless person. You want to make sure that the person that's giving you advice is giving you good advice and they can actually implement that in their own routines. So I'd like to think that's the reason why, although I'm sure it is for most of you. I'm also sure a lot of you have other reasons or other motives to see these kinds of videos. I kind of won't really touch that, so to say, no pun intended, which is understandable too. I mean, if you want to see me and oogle my goodies, that's a very big compliment for me. It's just not something you're likely to see on my channel. Now, as far as the flexing and posing videos go, the way that I look at it and the reason I've declined to do so is because I look at these posing videos more geared towards competitive bodybuilders, which I myself am not a competitive bodybuilder. Yes, I am very involved in bodybuilding. It's something I enjoy doing. However, the competitive aspect isn't something that's necessarily in my wheelhouse anytime soon. So I'm not going to be getting on stage, so posing isn't something I'm going to really work on. And me doing a video on posing, it's not going to benefit anyone, all right? First of all, I'm going to be terrible at it, and it's going to make me look like an idiot. And who would want to put up posing videos of themselves to make them look like an idiot? Jason Geneva! Excuse me. All jokes aside though, the Dark Lord Spaniard, big fan of you. I watch all your videos. I'm really, respectful of how you can put up such great consistent videos and still get trolled and not let it really get to you and bother you to the point where you keep continuing to do it. So all the more power to you, Jason, just making a bad joke. But, if you are a competitive bodybuilder, posing is something that definitely is going to play a big role in how you place in your competition. So, I mean, you could have somebody, honestly, who's diced to the socks on the daily, shout out to Louis Marco, you could have someone like that in a bodybuilding competition, but if they don't know how to pose, they could potentially lose to someone with an inferior physique. That's just the way it goes. So that plays a big role in actual competition. And I think actually Chris Jones talks about this a little bit in one of his recent videos when he talks about why he chose Matt Ogus and how he's looking at actually competing against him. He has a lot of concerns, not only if his physique's going to be up to par, but a lot of you have let him know that he really needs to work on his posing. So this is something that I think a lot of us underestimate how hard it is. Not only knowing the exact poses, how to transition from one to the other, holding it while still actually maintaining a face where it's not really hard. And let me tell you, posing for even just a minute straight is something that's very hard to do, and it's very taxing on your body, especially when you're in the point where you've been in a caloric deficit for a long period of time. You know, maybe you are skimping out on certain nutrients and whatever. I'm not going to get too into that because, again, this isn't about competitive bodybuilding, but it's not an easy thing to do. So it's not something that I can just get up here and anyone can do, you know, a most muscular side pose and all this other stuff. It's a lot more difficult than you think. Just like, for instance, I think I'm a pretty good dancer. Get me on the dance floor, you would never consider me to be a good dancer. I have the worst moves imaginable, and maybe you'll see that sometime. I need to take some lessons from my boys over at the Lions Den, Jin and Josh, because you guys do great jobs with your dance moves in between your squat sets. So as far as this posing flexing goes, it's not something I'm necessarily interested in doing. I don't really see a benefit to me to doing any kind of these videos. You know, I know some of you might say, oh, you're embarrassed about your physique, or we just want to see your gains, or we look up to you for inspiration, which is cool. I appreciate that. That's very humbling in my opinion. But again, for me, you'll know for all my videos that I've been doing up to this point, they're short, simple, to the point. If it's not something that's necessarily beneficial to myself or to you, I tend not to add those into the videos, and that's just how I look at these posing and flexing videos. There are plenty of people out there who do a much better job at it, who are much more well-versed as well as practiced as far as actual competitive bodybuilding goes. So I'd really highly point you towards those people if you're interested in learning how to pose. But for me, it's not something I'm good at, nor I practice, so I don't really see the practical point in putting a video out doing so, unless again, you just want to oogle my goodies. And in the meantime, while you're thinking about oogling my goodies, try to stay big. Talk to you guys later.